A massive creature slithers through the Amazon. In New Mexico, something humanoid but not quite human is caught on camera creeping around at night. Then there's the thing crawling across someone's backyard on all fours, pale, thin, and twitchy. This next clip is one of those "what the hell am I looking at" moments. It was filmed in Santa Fe, New Mexico sometime last summer, but that's about all we know. I really don't know how to explain what this thing is. Doesn't appear to be fully human, but I mean, maybe it is, I don't know. Now, New Mexico is no stranger to strange sightings. It's got a long history of chupacabra reports, the goat-sucking cryptid that's said to drain livestock. Sightings of these creatures pop up all across the Southwest, into Mexico, and even parts of South America. So naturally, people are wondering if this thing caught on camera could be a chupacabra. Others think it looks like a skinwalker caught mid-transformation. Whatever it is though, I can say for sure that I don't like it, and if I were living out there in Santa Fe and saw something like this slinking around, I'd be rethinking my zip code real fast. But what do you think? Real cryptid? Elaborate hoax? Let us know down below. This next clip comes from deep in the Amazon rainforest, and if you're one of those people who roll their eyes at the idea of 50-foot snakes, this might give you second thoughts. Now, at first it looks like just another shot of something slithering through murky water, nothing too out of the ordinary, probably a big anaconda, right? But then the camera zooms out and you start to realize just how massive this thing really is. Some people say it could be a modern-day titanoboa, a prehistoric snake that was said to grow over 40 feet long. Supposedly extinct for millions of years, but who really knows with a place like the Amazon? It's one of the most unexplored regions on Earth. If a monster-sized snake was going to survive anywhere without being found, this is definitely the place. Now, sure, this could be a trick of the camera. Maybe the angle makes the snake look bigger than it is, but when you see something that looks like it came straight out of the Jurassic period, moving that smoothly through a real jungle river, it's hard not to wonder what else might be out there. Sometimes it feels like we've just barely scratched the surface. How would you like to see this thing creeping through your backyard? In this video shared by TikTok user Cryptalker, a weird pale creature is caught crawling through someone's backyard in the middle of the night. It's moving on all fours and it looks way too thin to be a normal person. Its limbs are long and kind of jerky, and there's something really off about how it moves. A lot of people instantly compared it to the Rake, the creepy internet legend that's been floating around since the early 2000s, and this thing definitely has a similar vibe. The creature in the video doesn't really do much, just crawling along, but man, does it give me the creeps. Looks like it shouldn't exist. Too thin and lanky to be a person, but unlike any animal I've ever seen. Back in 2012, a trail cam on Whiteman Hill in Wetzel County, West Virginia picked up something very strange. A woman named Kelly Morgan submitted photos from her brother's deer camera that seemed to show a pale ghost-like figure wandering through the woods at night. According to Morgan, there's an old local legend about a young bride who was killed on her wedding day and that her spirit is said to roam the woods. She said her aunt told her the story, but it's mostly passed around as hearsay. Still, digging into the area's ghost tales, Morgan found a disturbing version of the story. Around 1882, 3 men allegedly took a young girl to a remote spot near Whiteman Hill, and after tormenting her, they hanged her. There is a small cemetery nearby that some think might be connected as well. The idea of a ghost bride fits into a much bigger pattern in folklore. Susan Dahl, co-author of Haunted Tales from the Holler, hadn't heard this exact story, but she did note how common ghost bride tales are, saying they are so common you could call them a bona fide subcategory. This has become a pretty famous image, right up there with the infamous Nessie photograph. This is supposedly photographic evidence of a creature called Champ that lives in Lake Champlain. There have been over 300 reported sightings of the creature over the years, but in 1977, amateur photographer Sandra Manzi spotted something sticking its head out of the water and snapped the now famous photo. Some describe Champ or Champy as a snake-like creature, others say it's like an aquatic dinosaur, something like a plesiosaur. Champ has become a full-on local celebrity though. In Port Henry, New York, they built a giant statue of it. There's even a Champ Day festival every year. Businesses in the area, car washes, diners, gift shops, slap Champ on their logos, and Vermont's minor league baseball team is literally called the Lake Monsters, with Champ as the mascot. It's a modern day mythical creature and people keep watching the lake, hoping to be the next to spot it. Did a fisherman just capture footage of the real-life gill man? Well, apparently a guy was fishing near Barnegat Bay in eastern New Jersey when he saw something poke its head out of the water. He had no idea what he was looking at. The more he looked at it, the thing just kept rising and rising until the whole upper half of its body was out of the water, and it was clear that this was not your ordinary animal. I mean, yikes. How'd you like to be swimming in the water with this thing? I gotta say, this creature looks pretty convincing. Definitely gives me the ick, but there are a couple fun comments that I wanna mention as well. One person says, "This is BS. If anyone saw that, they'd run, not record for 3 minutes," which, you know, fair enough. I can see where they're coming from there, but someone else responded, "It's called a stare down. The person out of fear and the frog out of confusion. Hence the term scared stiff." Also a good point, but I really just love that they called this thing a frog. And also someone else commented, "This is what happens when people stop eating frog legs." People just love calling this guy a frog. I don't know what frogs you people are looking at, but anyway. This next clip was shared by Sunny Vader on YouTube. The footage was captured by campers in Clearwater County, Alberta last month. The uploader had been tearing down their camp when they spotted this large, dark figure lurking in the trees nearby. He managed to quietly capture the thing on camera before it made its way back into the woods. They probably thought it was a bear at first, but after zooming in on the thing with the camera, they probably immediately changed their mind. It seems to be standing upright. Not that bears can't do that, but they usually won't for very long. It looks to me like this is a massive, hairy ape man spying on a couple hikers in the woods. On March 21st, something strange was spotted floating low over the rooftops in Saladin, Iraq, and yes, there's video of it. So as you can see, this strange object has a very odd shape. It looks like you took a flying saucer and then made it vertical. It almost looks like Boba Fett's Slave One from Star Wars. It also looks like it has these long trailing tendrils like a jellyfish, not like any drone I've ever seen. The object drifted smoothly over the buildings and a local managed to capture it on camera. The clip quickly spread online, just another piece of video to add to the growing list of UFO sightings this year. People who saw it described it as otherworldly and eerily silent. Some think it might be high-tech military equipment, others think this may actually be proof of something not from this world. But what do you all think? Now, stepping away from frogmen, aliens, and Sasquatch for a moment, let's talk about some mysterious jellyfish that were spotted just a few months back. The video shows two types of jellyfish that no one's ever seen before. At least ones that haven't been documented by science. The footage comes from researchers at the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA. First up is this one here. A very bizarre looking creature. It's so hard to make sense of. It's just so different from anything we see day to day here on land. Almost looks like it belongs in space. As one of the researchers said while filming the thing though, "I've never seen one of those. Have you?" And then another researcher's like, "Nope." They also captured footage of this smaller jellyfish. NOAA scientists couldn't identify this one either. Both were found during a deep sea dive off the northeastern coast of the US near Newport, Rhode Island. We see so many supposed videos of Bigfoot, but barely ever any dogman videos. Well, that all changes today. This dashcam footage comes out of Bladensboro, North Carolina. A man drove up to his property late at night when he got the fright of his life. Some big hairy creature had been lurking just outside his home, but his headlights hit it and the thing scuttled off into the trees. Not in the most graceful manner, I must add. This dogman is rather dainty in its movements, does this kind of toddler hop as it moves away. It can't be too hard on Dogman though. He's not as used to being in the spotlight, always being outshined by the ever so famous Sasquatch.
Starting off this list in our number 10 spot, we have the Yakumama. Deep in the winding currents of the Amazon River, stories persist about the Yakumama, the legendary mother of water. This isn't your average fish tale. We're talking about a serpent of unimaginable proportions, said to reach lengths of up to 160 feet. Locals believe this colossal creature lurks near the river's mouth, waiting silently beneath the surface. The most unsettling part? heart. The Yaku Mama is rumored to have the power to suck in anything within a 100-foot radius. Boats vanish without a ripple, and unsuspecting victims are pulled under, leaving nothing but questions behind. Some think it's the river's way of protecting itself, a guardian ensuring that only the respectful may pass. Is there a mammoth serpent hiding in those depths, or are these stories meant to keep thrill seekers at bay? In our number 9 spot today, we have El Tunchi. Walking through the dense Amazon rainforest, travelers might hear a haunting whistle that seems to come from all directions at once. This is El Tunchi, a malevolent spirit said to manifest as an eerie sound echoing through the jungle. Locals warn that the whistle isn't just unsettling, it's a lure. Those who follow it are drawn deeper into the labyrinth of trees and shadows. People who disrespect the jungle, taking more than they need or harming its creatures, are particularly at risk. Many have ventured towards that mysterious sound only to vanish without a trace. Is it just the wind playing tricks, or could there truly be a vengeful spirit guarding the heart of the Amazon? Either way, the legend of El Tunchi adds an unsettling layer to the already mysterious rainforest, reminding us that some paths are better left unexplored. In our number 8 spot today, we have the Mapinguari. Deep within the untamed depths of the Amazon rainforest, locals speak in hushed tones about the Mapinguari, a creature that challenges the boundaries between myth and reality. This towering figure is described as a giant, covered in thick, matted hair that conceals most of its grotesque features. But the most unsettling detail, a gaping mouth right in the middle of its stomach, lined with sharp teeth ready to devour anything or anyone that crosses its path. With claws long enough to carve through tree trunks, the Mapinguari is said to roam the jungle with a fierce sense of territory. Those who've caught a whiff of its presence describe an overpowering stench so vile it can bring a grown person to their knees. Stories tell of unfortunate souls who ventured too far and encountered this beast, never to return. Could this be a surviving remnant of prehistoric times? Perhaps a giant ground sloth that evaded extinction? Or is it a cautionary tale woven to keep explorers wary of the rainforest's hidden dangers? In our number 7 spot today, we have Encantado. Amid the winding rivers and dense foliage of the Amazon, tales abound of the Encantado, a creature as captivating as it is dangerous. Locals speak of these shapeshifters who often take the form of sleek river dolphins, known for their intelligence and mysterious aura. But when the sun dips below the horizon, the Encantado is said to emerge from the water as an irresistibly seductive human, blending effortlessly into nearby villages. With enchanting music and charm that can bewitch even the most guarded hearts, they draw people into their spell. The real peril begins when an Encantado fixates on someone, leading them to the river's edge. Victims are either pulled into the depths, never to surface again, or left with a haunting madness that defies explanation. Stories circulate of festival nights where a stranger's captivating gaze led to a person's disappearance by morning. Could these beings be spirits guarding the secrets of the river, or are they something far more sinister? The legend of the Encantado adds an alluring yet ominous chapter to the rich folklore of the Amazon, reminding us that not all that glitters under the moonlight is benign. In our number 6 spot today, we have the Chulachaki. Stories circulate among Amazonian villages about the Chulachaki, a mysterious entity said to roam the depths of the rainforest. This dwarf-like being has a chilling talent. It can perfectly mimic the appearance and voice of a loved one. People recount instances where they heard a familiar call from the tree line, only to see a friend or family member beckoning them deeper into the woods. Something feels slightly off. A mismatched shoe perhaps, or an unusual gait, but curiosity often overcomes caution. Once the Chulachaki has lured its victim away from the beaten path, the forest seems to shift and change, leaving them hopelessly lost. Many believe that the Chulachaki is the guardian of the jungle, fiercely protecting it from those who would do it harm.
This next video comes out of Puerto Rico, captured on a hotel security camera. Take a look at this. That was kinda nuts. Definitely not a gust of wind. something very clearly tugged at her hair. We just can't see what it was. Now, this hotel was built over one that had burnt down in 1986, and it's become kinda infamous for its paranormal activity. Guests and staff will say they hear disembodied voices and footsteps or see weird shadows moving about, the usual ghostly flair. But this isn't just spooky, it's rude and incredibly annoying. Whoever this ghost is, they deserved to die in that fire if that's how they go around behaving. This next photo comes from Reddit user Dan_Cukes, who writes, "My brothers and I went hammock backpacking in Pennsylvania last weekend. I was going through photos from the trip and started editing this one for an Instagram post. Wasn't long until I realized there was this incredibly human-like apparition / figure behind the campfire smoke just watching us. We never saw anything the whole day and night we were there, and we were 5 miles or so deep in the woods with no one around. It was a mile or so away from a small overgrown trail, so we were confident we'd be left alone. We don't know what to think of this and are pretty shook up over it." This eerie image was posted online by Reddit user Druzy. Looking closely, you can see a pale face with its mouth wide open peering out the bottom of the window. Now, on its own, the image isn't all that amazing, but if the story attached to it is to be believed, it definitely makes for a creepy post. Druzy wrote, "I took this picture sometime in 2013. We'd always experienced things in this apartment. Footsteps, doors closing, lights on and off, blinds always falling off the window, but we never actually saw anything. I was on my way to work one day when I noticed the blinds in my room pressed against the window as if someone was spreading them apart. I snapped a picture to show my mom later, like, hey, look, the blinds were weird, like someone was pressing against them. Never been able to explain the face in the window though. There was nobody home except for my dog." This is a photograph of a beastly animal that was burnt alive by this group of brave men, the Hodag. This story comes out of Rhinelander, Wisconsin, a small town in the north of the state. It all started back in the 1890s when a local timber cruiser named Eugene Shepard came out saying that he'd come across this terrifying creature in the woods. According to his description, it had, quote, the head of a frog, the grinning face of a giant elephant, thick short legs set off by huge claws, the back of a dinosaur, and a long tail with spears at the end. Shepard claimed they had to use dynamite just to kill the beast. He'd even released a photo of the charred remains, calling it the, quote, fiercest, strangest, most frightening monster ever to set razor-sharp claws on the earth. In 1896, Shepard said that he captured another Hodag alive with help from a few bear wrestlers and a chloroform-soaked pole. He showed the thing off at the Oneida County Fair and at his own home, where he'd rigged it to move using wires, just to scare people for fun. Yeah, the whole thing was a hoax. Shepard was kind of known as the town prankster, and the fun ended when scientists from the Smithsonian said they were coming to investigate. At that point, Shepard finally admitted he'd made the whole thing up. But by then, the Hodag had already become a local legend. I just had to include this one. It was just too fun a story. So this farmer in India walked out onto his property to see this massive snake that had just finished swallowing one of his cows. Look at the giant bulge right in the middle of the snake's body. Instead of running away, the farmer actually grabbed a rope and lassoed the snake, just threw it right over the middle of his body like he was wrangling a steer. I don't know what kind of nerves that guy has, but if I were in his boots, I'd have quit farming on the spot. I would be halfway across the country before even thinking about coming back. The clip's been shared around a lot online, and people are still debating what kind of snake this was. Some say it might have been a green anaconda, which do get very big. Others think it was something even bigger though, maybe something not officially documented. Certainly looks like it to me, but thankfully I do not live in a country where there are massive poisonous snakes stalking the forests, so not too familiar. What would you do if you were out on the water and you saw this?
What the is that? Go, I don't know what that is, Dave.
This video was uploaded to the Residual Payments YouTube channel back in 2013, and what's freaky about this one is that you see all this movement on the water on the left side of the screen, and then boom, we get something breaching the water much further away. So was this a pair of creatures, or more horrifyingly, just one big animal. Another thing I love about the video is the audible sounds of fear and panic coming from the couple filming. They sound genuinely shocked and freaked out. The story behind this one is that a woman named Patricia and her fiance Dave had been fishing in Sanibel, Florida on October 6th, 2013 when they spotted something in the water. It was a serpentine creature longer than their boat, about 20 feet or about 6 meters. They watched as the thing sped through the water before splashing up, looking like it had wrapped itself around something before descending back down into the water. The pair had also lived in Florida all their lives and had seen plenty of dolphins and manatees over the years, stressing that what they encountered here was not a manatee or a dolphin. Just what in the 7 levels of hell is this thing? Not a whole lot of information on this video. All we know is it was shot in Santa Fe, New Mexico back in the summer. Sightings of chupacabra-like creatures have been reported all over New Mexico, and by extension the rest of the southwestern United States, Mexico, and parts of South America. So could this thing be a goat-sucking monster or something else? Some say it looks like a skinwalker mid-transformation or just a very unhealthy looking person. Whatever it is though, if I lived in New Mexico, I'd probably be switching states. I just don't need something like that around me. What do you all think of this one? Genuine? Hoax? Share your thoughts down below. What you're looking at here is known as the Gable film, a piece of footage supposedly capturing a dogman creature on camera. It's a pretty creepy piece of footage. That old film grain quality gives it this very visceral, uneasy feeling about it. There's a lot of mystery behind this one, but the film was supposedly shot in Michigan at some point in the 70s. A man is being filmed on a snowmobile when the camera cuts to a hill. Crouched atop it is a dark, hairy-looking figure which begins bounding towards the camera, and then this happens. The legend of the Dogman dates all the way back to 1887 when a group of lumberjacks in Wexford County reported seeing this huge, hairy creature with the body of a man and the head of a dog. They described it standing on 2 legs, like a person, but with glowing eyes, sharp teeth, and claws. Since then, sightings have popped up all over Michigan, especially in the northern parts of the state. People claim they've spotted this eerie creature prowling the woods, particularly in areas like the Manistee National Forest. It's said to be about 7 feet tall, covered in fur, with the body of a human, but the face of a snarling dog. This footage here was supposedly taken at the Roswell crash site. Again, we have a nice, creepy, grainy piece of footage here. Now, if this footage is indeed real, it would have been kept under wraps for a very long time. There was a ton of secrecy surrounding Roswell, but is it possible this footage came from a whistleblower? I definitely love to believe it, but I have my doubts. I've always been fascinated by the Roswell case itself though. We all know the story. In 1947, a mysterious object crashed near Roswell, New Mexico. It was described as a flying disc, but then almost overnight the story changed and authorities said it wasn't a flying saucer and that it was a weather balloon. But in the decades since, whistleblowers have come forward saying they know the real story, saying they saw alien bodies being recovered from the crash site, alien bodies that have been described pretty much exactly like the ones seen in this clip. Now, what exactly are these things? Walking pairs of pants? Well, they've been dubbed the Fresno nightcrawlers, and they've been captured on camera more than once. The clip here was taken in Yosemite National Park. This next video was actually the first time the creatures were ever caught on camera. Take a look at this. It all started with a man named Jose in Fresno, California. He had a security camera set up outside his house, mostly to keep an eye on his lawn. One night, he was woken up by his dogs barking. He checked the camera footage, and that's when he saw this strange, white, almost ghostly figure walking across his lawn. It was tall, thin, and had long, spindly legs that seemed to glide over the grass. Jose was freaked out and woke up his brother to show him the footage. His brother even said he found small, weird footprints outside, but by the time investigators showed up to check it out, all the evidence had been washed away. Now, the footage that initially blew up online has kind of disappeared. The only remaining video is this grainy clip taken from a monitor. There was another sighting in 2020 in Billings, Montana on a home surveillance system, which also caught footage of these mysterious nightcrawlers. This one's a lot harder to see, but pay close attention to the dark, right-hand corner of the screen. So what are these things? They don't really resemble any known animal, and they definitely don't fit your typical cryptid profile like Bigfoot or Mothman. Some people think they could be extraterrestrial beings or interdimensional creatures, or maybe more ghostly apparitions. But skeptics also say they could just be the result of weird camera glitches or that low quality playing tricks on our eyes.
In our number 5 spot today, we have the Maracoxy, a mysterious group of large, hairy, ape-like humanoids that bear a striking resemblance to the legendary Bigfoot. Standing taller than any known primate, these creatures are said to be covered in thick fur with eyes that pierce through the dense jungle foliage. Locals speak of eerie encounters where menacing figures watched from the shadows, emanating guttural sounds that sent chills down the spine. Highly territorial, the Maracoxy are believed to be fiercely protective of their domain. Those who unknowingly cross into their territory risk facing aggressive displays or even outright attacks. There are unsettling stories of explorers and hunters who ventured too far and vanished without a trace, their disappearances attributed to these elusive beings. Some speculate that the Maracoxy could be a lost branch of the evolutionary tree, or perhaps a primitive tribe shrouded in secrecy. Could there be truth to these stories, hiding just beyond the edge of the known world? In our number 4 spot today, we have the Sucuriju gigante. Deep within the shadowy waters of the Amazon, legends speak of the Sucuriju gigante, a serpent of unimaginable proportions that makes even the largest known anacondas seem like mere garter snakes. This isn't just another tall tale. Locals swear by sightings of this behemoth, describing a creature so massive it can coil itself around entire boats and drag them under without a ripple left behind. Fishermen share whispered stories of ripples that grow into waves, of enormous scales glimpsed just beneath the water's surface, and of friends who ventured into certain parts of the river, never to return. The jungle teems with unexplained disappearances and eerie accounts of livestock vanishing from riverbanks overnight. Could a snake of such colossal size truly evade scientific discovery, or is this just a manifestation of the Amazon's untamed spirit? Either way, the mere possibility keeps even the bravest souls a little wary, reminding us that some depths are better left unexplored. In our number 3 spot today, we have the Sachamama. In the deepest reaches of the Amazon rainforest, where the trees tower like ancient guardians, stories emerge about the Sachamama, the mother of the jungle. This isn't merely a snake, but a colossal serpent so immense that over time the forest has grown over her, with trees and vines intertwining across her massive form. Travelers speak of moments where the jungle falls eerily silent and a strange tranquility washes over them. It's then that they realize they're standing upon something that's not Earth, but the scaled back of the Sachamama herself. Despite her seemingly immobile state, she possesses a hypnotic power that can entrance anyone who wanders too close, trapping them in an eternal spell. Those ensnared are said to become one with the jungle, their stories ending where the Sachamama's begins. Is she a benevolent protector of the wild, or a lurking danger awaiting the next unsuspecting soul? In our number 2 spot today, we have Latunda. Among the many eerie tales that echo through the Amazon rainforest, the legend of Latunda sends shivers down the spine like no other. Originating from Afro-Ecuadorian lore, this shape-shifting vampiric creature is said to prowl the jungle, searching for unsuspecting victims. Latunda has a terrifying ability. It can perfectly mimic the appearance and voice of a loved one, be it a family member, a close friend, or even a romantic interest. Everything seems normal, but there's always something subtly off that hints at the imposter beneath the facade. Luring people deeper into the tangled heart of the forest, Latunda isolates them from any chance of rescue. It's in this remote wilderness that she reveals her true form, draining the life force of her victims to sustain her own existence. Stories tell of people who followed a familiar face into the trees, only to disappear without a trace. And finally, in our number 1 spot today, we have the black jaguar. Amidst the labyrinth of vines and towering trees in the Amazon, tales abound of the black jaguar, known locally as the jaguar negro. This isn't your average big cat, it's a mystical, melanistic jaguar said to be larger than any ever documented. Cloaked in fur so dark it seems to absorb the light, this elusive predator moves through the jungle like a shadow-given form. Locals whisper that its eyes glow with an otherworldly light, piercing the inky darkness of the forest nights. Believed to possess supernatural powers, the black jaguar is more than just an animal. It's considered an omen of death. Hunters who have attempted to track this creature often vanish without a trace, fueling stories that it can traverse between the physical world and the spiritual realm. Some say it guards the secrets of the jungle, ensuring that its mysteries remain untouched by human hands. Whether rooted in reality or born from cautionary tales, these creatures embody the perils that can befall those who venture unprepared into the unknown. Exploration is a human instinct, but some secrets of the Amazon might be best left undisturbed.
So this guy caught something really spooky on camera while motorbiking. TikToker Motoens was riding through a forest trail as the sun was setting. He was pretty deep into the trail, which he said seemed to go on forever. And he comes to a fork in the path. Then he notices something strange. It's eerily quiet.
Holy crap, dude, this trail going on forever.
He sits there for a few moments, trying to decide which path to take, before he spots something poking out of the brush. Take a look at this. As soon as he sees the thing, he rightly zips back in the direction he came from, but not before struggling to get his bike started like he's stuck in a monster movie or one of those awful nightmares where you're being chased only to find that you've lost the ability to run. Pretty awful. A man named Jose in Fresno, California had a security camera outside his home, mainly to keep an eye on people messing with his front lawn. Well, one night his dog started barking like crazy, so he went to check the camera footage, and what he saw completely threw him. It was a thin, pale white figure with long legs gliding across the lawn. It had no arms, no real body, it was just the two long, tube-like legs and something small connecting them at the top. It didn't move like a person or an animal, mainly because it didn't look like a person or an animal. Jose was freaked out and immediately woke up his brother. According to Jose, his brother went outside and found weird little footprints in the dirt. But when investigators finally got there, it had rained and whatever physical evidence was there was now gone. This was the first ever footage of what's been referred to as the Fresno nightcrawler, or crawlers, because some folks have seen multiple of them at once. In July of 2022, a home security camera in Moorhead, Kentucky picked up something really weird. Something that looked like a pale, almost human-shaped figure moving through someone's backyard late at night. The creature was thin, with long arms and legs, and no visible clothes or fur. It didn't run or walk like a person, it just kind of crept through the yard in this slow, eerie motion. The homeowner released the clip online, and it was shared around everywhere, even news sites. A lot of people said it looked like some kind of rake. Others say this one has a bit of an alien vibe to it. The video was picked up by local news, including the Tribune, which simply labeled it as a bizarre backyard sighting. Nobody came forward with any clear explanation, and wildlife officials didn't release any statements about what it could have been. Internet theories went all over the place with this one, from a deformed deer walking upright, which is a bit of a stretch, to a sick person wandering around naked. That's much more plausible. Or maybe something straight out of The Descent. In October of 2023, two passengers were riding the Durango and Silverton narrow gauge railroad, a scenic train that runs through the Colorado wilderness, when one of them spotted something strange walking along a hillside. They pulled out their phone and started recording. What they caught was this figure walking upright across the slope. It wasn't a person in hiking gear. It was tall, bulky, covered in what looked like brown fur, turning at one point to look back toward the train. Some commenters pointed out that the remote location made this very unlikely that anyone would be out there pulling a prank. Others just said, well, it kind of just does look like a costume. But the video made national news and reopened the Bigfoot debate once again. A lot of folks also pointed out how well this thing moved on such steep terrain. For believers, this is one of the better modern Bigfoot sightings. Clear daylight, open view, but Like always, what do you all think? In 2019, near Sioux Lookout in Ontario, Canada, Gino Mikas, an experienced hunter, was with his wife and grandson grouse hunting when they heard this eerie howl coming from deep in the trees. Take a listen to this. Now, thinking it might be a moose, Mikas started recording with his phone, but as the howls continued, and they do go on throughout the entire clip, it growing louder and more aggressive, it was very clear that this wasn't anything he'd heard before. Now, keep this in mind, guys. He's been hunting all his life, and he said the sound didn't match anything native to the area. Could this be a legit recording of Bigfoot? Two friends were hiking in British Columbia when they captured something they couldn't quite explain. They spotted this figure walking upright across a snowy ridge. It's distant, but the people behind the camera say they had a much clearer view in person, and what they saw didn't make any sense. See, the terrain was tough. Deep snow, steep drop-offs, no obvious trail, but the figure was moving so smoothly and quickly, without snowshoes, without a backpack, and seemingly wearing all one color. Now, anyone who has ever tried to walk through that kind of snow knows that it's nearly impossible without gear. They said the thing was bipedal, fast, and didn't look like a bear. They admitted the most logical explanation might be it was just some lone, seriously hardcore hiker, but what if that wasn't the case? The closest route down the mountain was a 300-meter sheer drop, and they didn't have climbing gear to follow it. So whether it was a Sasquatch, a fearless snow hiker, or something else, it left them unsettled enough to post online, and a number of people have commented about how much distance this thing manages to cover on such harsh terrain in such a short span of time. This dude just happened to spot a prehistoric wolf in his yard. Yeah, once it runs up to the normal sized dog, we really get the full scope of this thing's size. The thing looks like a dire wolf. Now, this is actually a timber wolf, a huge timber wolf, but a timber wolf all the same. The video was shot in Saskatchewan, and the man who shot it said, "I work as a fishing guide in northern Saskatchewan, and I shot this video on one of our trails around the lodge. We get a lot of bears that come around the lodge, but this year we had a black wolf that started to come around for a few days. We spotted the wolf through the window of the kitchen in the lodge, and I made my way outside with the camera. When I started to take pictures, the wolf left, then returned a few minutes later, and that's when Trigger, his dog, took after the wolf. The wolf waited for Trigger to turn away from him, and that's when he grabbed the dog in the back and threw her up in the air right in front of me. Dan fired into the air, and that broke the fight up. The wolf turned and left. We followed the wolf into the bush and shot again to scare him off. The wolf came back 2 more times that day, looking for the dog, we think. Trigger had a few good wounds and cuts, but she's fine now. This next video is captured in Russia. Take a look at this. The footage is from a remote area in Russia, located between the Ural Mountains and the Volga River, close to the Kazakhstan border. So in the video, we've got a car driving down a dark road. The driver and passengers are chatting in Russian, and if you listen closely, you can clearly hear the word Yeti pop up a few times in their conversation. Now, at first, it sounds like they're just having a normal drive, but then we see what we see about 36 seconds into the clip. This blurry, shadowy figure dashes across the road right in front of the car's headlights. The moment it happens, the car immediately slams to a stop and the engine cuts out. Now, as far as what exactly is in the video, it's hard to say. The figure that dashes across the road is too blurry and fast to make out much detail, plus it's white, so it blends in pretty well with the snow, but from what we can see, it doesn't look like any normal animal or person. Next up, we have another strange video out of Florida. Take a look at this one. The video was shot in Edgewater, Florida. Joe Tiller and his wife April were out on the water near Menard May Park when they recorded a massive creature around 12 to 15 feet long. Now, at first, Joe thought that it was just a big manatee, but something was off about it. He described it saying it had huge muscles like shoulders on a bull. It was as if it was rolling its shoulders like a bear underwater. He also pointed out that they didn't see any fur, head, or limbs though. Tiller, who's lived in the area for 5 years working on boats, said he's never seen anything like this. The creature was even grunting, which freaked him out enough to steer clear when it started heading toward a nearby channel. After sharing the video online, it quickly went viral, but no one can agree on what this thing is. Some think it could be a manatee struggling at low tide. Others have even said it could be a black bear crossing the river, but Tiller went on to say, "I can't find any video online that shows manatees to look like this with rolling shoulders." Wow, this is nightmare fuel. I hate how large whatever this thing is, the fact that it looks slightly human, the glowing eyes, all of it is just the last thing I'd ever want to see walking through the forest at night. Not sure where this one comes from originally. If anyone has any more info on it, let me know down in the comments. Alright, I'm gonna finish off with a fun one. In the Mount Rushmore of cryptids, the Loch Ness Monster is right up there with Bigfoot and whoever else you'd want to put on the list. I imagine Mothman would be on there. Anyway, take a look at this. I can't tell you how much I want this to be real. I don't know where this footage comes from originally. All I know is that it looks pretty convincing, but obviously someone made this with some very skillful CGI or AI or whoever knows what eye these days. But I can say this, out of some of the crazier cryptids like the Loveland Frog and the Flatwoods Monster, the idea of a surviving plesiosaur lurking somewhere out there in the vastness of Earth's waters isn't all that hard to believe. I mean, not only did these things actually exist at one point in time, but there's a lot of unexplored water. Who knows what could be out there, really? I highly doubt there's a surviving dinosaur swimming around in Loch Ness, but in other parts of the world where there's more marine life to feast on, sure, maybe. Well, you wanted clear footage of a cryptid. Here it is. It's not often we get supposed Sasquatch footage this clear and up close. Usually these videos are shot from a distance and the creature is almost impossible to make out. I know I say this almost every time I show a Bigfoot video, but understand that I sift through a lot of garbage and I just don't bother putting most of these videos on lists like this because these videos aren't meant to put you to sleep. Although if you use them for that, I'm not offended. Close your eyes, go back to bed. Is this video genuine though? I mean, how can I say for sure? I do like it, I'll say that. There's more going on here than a monkey suit from Party City. This thing looks to have some bulk to it. There's color variation in the fur. If it is a hoax, I think it's pretty well done. Well, this is a freaky piece of footage. Not only is there a massive dead cow floating through the water, there's something under it. Gonna guess that something was involved in the death of the cow. I mean, good lord, look at the size of this thing. There's a full-on dinosaur swimming in this river. Of course, this is a croc or a gator. I couldn't actually find where this video was filmed, but the thing is an absolute beast. I know, very insightful of me. Take a look at this strange photo. Picture was snapped on Navajo land between cornfields and Greasewood, Arizona. It's been making the rounds on social media lately. According to the person who shared it, her aunt snapped the picture at the end of a small canyon after hearing weird noises while tending livestock on her property. There's not much more info about it, other than claims that the creature was seen again a few days later. The family chose not to go after it. They figured it was best to just leave it alone. Wise. Apparently stories about creatures like this have been told in the area for generations though. What do you think of this one? Only explanation that I have outside of this being a genuine Sasquatch, of course, is a black bear. There are black bears in Arizona. I'm not sure if they frequent this specific area. If anyone from Arizona can enlighten me in the comments, that would be great. A video from Buenos Aires this week has gotten people talking about possible demons or something strange. Very strange. This short blurry clip that's been getting shared around quite a bit on social media, at least on the forums I check out, shows what looks like a street or garden in Argentina. Here we can see some sort of bizarre dark figure crawling on all fours toward the camera while a few dogs walk around in the background. The creature seems to have very long spindly limbs, but it's hard to see clearly because it's dark and the video quality isn't really the best. Local news says this happened in the town of Saladillo, and people living there are reportedly scared of whatever it was. Some witnesses have called it demonic and say it has inhuman agility that lets it climb walls and jump between trees. A local firefighter who didn't want to give his name said that, quote, something was going on. Another witness added, he's something big. He doesn't walk on all fours, he walks backwards. He's disjointed, he comes apart, his head is upside down while his body moves in an impossible way. All of that said in Spanish. Of course, this series of photos were posted to Reddit a couple weeks back by SnakeTree1911, who wrote, I work as a land steward in the northeastern part of the US. Part of my job is reviewing images taken by our game cams. We recently pulled a cam from a fairly remote area, which hasn't been checked in a long time. These images caught my eye. None of the naturalists on our staff could ID this thing. I'm not sure if I believe in cryptids or whatever, but I don't know what this thing is. It's not a deer, certainly isn't a bobcat, and if it's a black bear, it's the biggest one I've ever seen. I included a daytime photo so you can see that it's not just some weird shaped rock or whatever. I don't know, let me know what you think. And I will pose that same question to all you fine people watching. What do you think? Known locally as the Lagerflot worm, this creature is Iceland's answer to the Loch Ness Monster. Said to live in the icy depths of Lake Lagerflot, the beast is described as massive, up to 40 feet long, and not sleek like your typical idea of a sea serpent. Instead, it's said to have a series of large, visible humps. Reports of the creature go all the way back to 1345, and sightings have trickled in over the centuries. In 1963, the head of Iceland's National Forest Service claimed that he saw it with his own eyes. In 1998, a teacher and a group of students said they saw it as well. The most interesting incident might have happened in 1983 when a group of workers were laying a telephone cable near the eastern shore of the lake, and during their depth measurements, they detected this massive moving object deep beneath the surface. When they later retrieved the cable, it was snapped, and right at the spot where it had rested on whatever that thing was. Then in 2012, the story blew up again when a 67-year-old farmer recorded this video of something snake-like twisting and swimming in a river which flows directly into the lake. Next up is this clip here, the Harley Hoffman Bigfoot footage. I remember seeing this clip years ago. It was edited into an interview with Hoffman himself, who's a well-known Bigfoot enthusiast. Now, for a while I couldn't find the footage again, but recently it did pop back up. This is actual footage he claims to have shot, and honestly, it is pretty solid. You get a decent look at the creature. It doesn't come across like some dude stumbling around in a Party City gorilla suit. There's what looks like actual muscle definition under the fur, kind of like what you see in the famous Patterson-Gimlin footage. Now, yeah, the camera is a little shaky, but I mean, come on, if you suddenly ran into this thing in the woods, are you really gonna whip out this perfect, smooth, Kubrick-style tracking shot? I doubt it. The shakiness actually makes it feel more real, like something someone would capture in the middle of a, like, legit what the hell am I looking at moment. Now let's talk about the 1992 Grassman sighting. Grassman is the name Ohio locals have given to this big ape-like creature that's supposedly been spotted all over the state. This particular video was taken in eastern Ohio by a guy named Don Keating, who managed to capture what looked like a large hairy figure walking into the forest. The footage is, of course, super grainy, and he's pretty far away, so no, it's not crystal clear or anything, but there's definitely something moving through the trees. It's not the strongest video evidence out there. It's hard to tell exactly what you're looking at, but this video was passed around a lot back then, and there was a ton of debate surrounding it. That always makes things interesting. Plus, I just have a fondness for old VHS footage like this. It's just got this creepy, it adds something to it, I don't know. Now, what's interesting is that Keating said he was a skeptic before shooting this, but after the encounter, he changed his tune. And finally, we've got the Salt Fork Creature, another supposed clip of the Ohio Grassman. This video was uploaded to the YouTube channel We Do It Outdoors, and even though it's only about 10 minutes long, it is packed with material. So two guys were exploring Salt Fork State Park, also in eastern Ohio, when they started hearing weird noises, and that's when they caught footage of something big and hairy moving around in the trees. They follow this thing for a while and get some pretty cool footage, more than you usually get with videos like this. Now, if this is a costume, it's a pretty good one. The creature looks bulky. It's not like one of those flimsy, off-the-shelf gorilla suits, and what really makes this one stand out is that the footage is clear. There's no camera shaking or very little. There's no ridiculous filter to make it harder to see what's going on. You even hear some strange vocalizations in the background, which just adds to the whole thing. Whether it's real or not, this one is definitely worth a watch.
Coming in at number 10 is the wendigo. A wendigo originates from a folklore of Plains and Great Lakes natives as well as some First Nations. It's based in and around the East Coast forests of Canada, the Great Plains region of the United States, and the Great Lakes region of both the United States and Canada. Now, sometimes wendigos are described as exceptionally thin, with the skull and skeleton pushing through its ash-colored mummy-like skin. Other stories describe the wendigo as a well-fleshed giant who gets proportionately larger the more it eats. According to other legends, the wendigo has a pointed or animal-like ears with antlers or horns sprouting on its head. A wendigo's eyes have been described as sunken or glowing like hot coals. Sharp and pointy teeth, extremely bad breath, and bodily odor are often traits of a wendigo. It is usually, but not always, endowed with powers such as superhuman strength and stamina that allows it to stalk, overpower, and devour its victims. Wendigos are usually credited with exceptional eyesight, hearing, and sense of smell. They're said to move with the speed of the wind and have the ability to walk across deep snow or even over open water without sinking. Now, it's said to invoke feelings of insatiable greed and hunger, and the desire to eat other humans, and propensity to end people's lives in those who fall under its influence. Number 9. El Chupacabra. The El Chupacabra is a legendary creature in the folklore of parts of the Americas. In 1975, a series of livestock killings in the small town of Mocha, Puerto Rico were attributed to the vampire of Mocha. Now, each of these animals were reported to have its body bled dry through a series of small circular incisions. A few months later, in August, an eyewitness reported seeing the creature in Puerto Rico, where as many as 150 farm animals and pets were reportedly killed. Now, physical descriptions of the creature vary. In Puerto Rico and in Latin America, it is generally described as a heavy creature, reptilian and alien-like, roughly the size of a small bear, and with a row of spines reaching from the neck to the base of the tail, while in southwestern United States, it is depicted as more dog-like. Shortly after the first reported incident in Puerto Rico, other animal deaths were reported in other countries, such as Argentina, Bolivia, Brazil, Chile, Colombia, Dominican Republic, El Salvador, Honduras, Mexico, Nicaragua, Panama, Peru, and the United States. Coming at number 8, we have Bigfoot. Bigfoot, also commonly referred to as Sasquatch, is an ape-like creature said to inhabit the forest of North America. North American settlers started reporting sightings during the late 1800s and into the 1900s, with the occasional finding of footprints, sporadic encounters, and even grainy photos and videos adding to the mystery. Bigfoot is often described as a large, muscular, bipedal ape or human-like creature covered in black, dark brown, or dark reddish hair. Descriptions estimate the height of roughly 6 to 9 feet, with some depictions having the creature standing as tall as 10 to 15 feet. Some alleged observations describe Bigfoot as more human than ape, particularly in regards to the face. Common descriptions include broad shoulders, no visible neck, and long arms. Now, some alleged nighttime sightings have stated the creature's eyes glowed yellow or red. In 1971, multiple people in the Dalles, Oregon filed a police report describing an overgrown ape, and one of the men claimed to have sighted the creature in the scope of his rifle, but could not bring himself to shoot it because it looked more human than animal. Now, there have been hundreds, if not thousands, of Bigfoot sightings, and Bigfoot has come somewhat of a pop culture figure, as there are TV shows, movies, and fan clubs dedicated to him. Number 7. Lizard Man. In the folklore of Lee County, South Carolina, the Lizard Man of Scape or Swamp is an entity said to inhabit the swampland of the region. First mentioned in the late 1980s, the sightings and damage attributed to the creature yielded a significant amount of newspaper, radio, and television publicity. On July 14, 1988, the Lee County Sheriff's Office investigated a report of a car damaged overnight while parked at a home on the edge of Scape or Swamp. The car reportedly had tooth marks and scratches with hair and
muddy footprints left behind. Sheriff Liston Truesdale noted that this was the start of various claims that eventually turned into a story about a lizard man in the swamp. Prompted by the news of the vehicle damage, local Christopher Davis reported to the sheriff that his car was damaged by a creature he described as green, wet-like, about 7 feet tall, and had 3 fingers, red eyes, skin like a lizard, and snake-like scales 2 weeks earlier. According to Christopher, he was driving home from working a night shift at a fast food restaurant when his car got a flat tire. After fixing it, he saw a creature walking towards him. He got in his car and began to drive, but the creature was soon on top of the car. He applied the brakes, causing the creature to roll off the car, giving him enough time to escape. Number 6. Loveland Frog. In Ohio folklore, the Loveland Frog is a legendary humanoid frog described as standing roughly 4 feet tall, allegedly spotted in Loveland, Ohio. In 1972, the Loveland Frog legend gained renowned attention when a Loveland police officer reported to a colleague that he had seen an animal consistent with the description of the frogman. After a reported sighting in 2016, the second officer called a news station to report that he had shot and killed the same creature some weeks after the 1972 incident and had identified it as a large iguana that was missing its tail. Now, according to various legends, the creature was first sighted by a businessman or traveling salesman driving along an unnamed road late at night in 1955, with some versions of the story specifying the month of May. In one story, the driver was heading out of a Branch Hill neighborhood when he spotted 3 figures standing erect on their hind legs along the side of the road, each 3 to 4 feet in height, with leathery skin and frog faces. In other versions of the story, the creatures were spotted under or over a poorly lit bridge, and one held a wand over its head that fired a spray of sparks.
Coming in at number 5, Mayaka skunk ape. While Bigfoot tends to get all of the fame in the cryptid world, there are other similarly hairy creatures that could be roaming around the United States as we speak. According to one Google Maps location, there may have been a sighting of the skunk ape near the Mayaka River in Sarasota, Florida. According to details online, in October of 2000, a senior woman sent a letter to the local police station accompanied by some photos of what could only be described as a large ape. In her letter, she reportedly claimed that the skunk ape was 6 or 7 feet tall, but would crouch over, had an ungodly smell, and would sneak into her property to steal her apples. However, her true fear was that the cryptid could have some kind of disease that could spread to her family, as she routinely had her grandkids over to play in the backyard. Unfortunately, police were not able to deny or confirm the existence of the mysterious creature, but that hasn't stopped locals from trying to unravel the mystery to this day. Coming in at number 4, a giant fly. As far as terrifying creatures go, flies are not generally the first thing that comes to mind. That being said, this story might have changed my mind. One alleged witness contacted someone through the website the Cryptid Wiki, claiming they'd seen an insect that looked like a horsefly that was almost 2 feet from head to tail. They say they were in the garden in Serbia in 2015 when they heard a horrible loud buzzing and briefly saw a huge horsefly pass them in the middle of the night, which sounds like something from my nightmares. According to the witness, quote, "I saw it probably for 6 seconds after it flew past me, and it disappeared when it flew behind my garden fence. I checked and nothing was there. The bug was big and black, and I couldn't see it very well, but it made a loud buzzing noise. The weather was cloudy and it was night. My mother and sister were there too, and they saw it and were shocked." Now, if what they saw was real, then it could be so dangerous. I mean, the bite from a regular horsefly is bad enough. Imagine how bad it could be if the thing was 2 feet long. Coming in at number 3, Bigfoot. Out of any of the cryptids out there, I would venture to say that the hairy Sasquatch is likely the one that most people claim to have witnessed. I mean, practically everyone and their neighbor claim to have seen the creature walking through the woods of North America. Dating back further than recorded history, this man-like ape has been a household legend with nearly 10,000 recorded sightings throughout the United States. And with just a quick search, you'll literally find hundreds of photos and articles aiming to prove Bigfoot's existence. Arguably, the most famous evidence we have is Roger Patterson and Bob Grimlin's 1967 film, where the alleged creature is seen walking along the side of a creek in plain day, and though we still don't know if the authenticity of the photo photo stacks up, we've also never been truly able to debunk it entirely. Of the many stories of alleged sightings, including some saying they were captured and held captive by the creature, and others claiming to have spotted the Sasquatch roaming about the woods, one of the only sightings you can find on Google Maps is located in Seven Chutes, Canada, where a photo of a large, broad-shouldered humanoid creature covered in hair shocked everyone who stumbled upon it. However, considering these things roam around the woods, I highly doubt it's still in the same spot as it was captured on Google. Coming in at number 2, Lake Monster. If you grew up in the Okanagan Valley of British Columbia, then you are no stranger to this mythological sea creature. But could it be that there is more to Ogopogo than we thought? The tale of the creature dates back thousands of years, with the Salish indigenous people having passed along stories about a spirit of the lake, which was later turned into what we now call Ogopogo after white settlers landed and began altering the stories. Described as a serpentine creature with smooth skin and a length of up to 50 feet, it's said to move at incredible speeds, using its powerful tail as a propeller to speed through the lake. The first alleged sighting dates back to 1872 by a woman named Susan Allison, who was the first white settler to live in the region, but she has not been the only one to come forward with so-called evidence. In the 1980s, a tourist agency offered a cash reward for anyone with proof of the beast, and many flocked with pictures and videos trying to claim the reward. Then later in 2008, a photographer by the name of Sean Valoria captured several photos of something peculiar he saw in the water, which he described as having humps measuring 18 to 20 feet long. After inspection by many local experts, they confirmed that it didn't look like any known animal to the lake, but there also wasn't enough evidence to confirm the existence of Ogopogo from Sean's photo. Since then, many mysterious sightings have popped up on Google Maps, so I guess people will just have to keep returning to the lake for more proof. And last up in our number 1 spot, the Ottawa Angel. This next one comes from a blog post, and I'm just gonna let this man tell you his story firsthand, cause man oh man, it is wild. Quote, I lived right beside the highway on ramp and was on my way rather quickly on that sunny yet windy fall day. As usual, I put some good music on and proceeded to enjoy the approximately 1 hour long scenic drive to Ottawa. I rather liked and traveled this route quite often. It was an uneventful trip which had passed rather quickly as I began to approach the Ottawa city limits at about 12:20 p.m. At this point, in broad daylight, without a cloud in the sky, I caught my eye up ahead in the distance on what at first came to mind as a very large seagull due to its white and gray appearance. But he soon realized it was something much stranger than a seagull. Quote, I then noticed what looked like outstretched arms connected to a human-looking torso with a head and what I call legs, but which in fact more closely resembled a long serpent-looking tail flowing behind this winged being at the time. I do realize how strange this may sound, but I assure you that it is unfortunately all too real. He did not appear friendly or welcoming, and I will never forget the last seconds that I could see him and his ominous glare. So what could this thing have been? Some kind of angel? Or some kind of demon perhaps? I guess we'll never know. But if it ever does return, we know where to find it.
Number 10. Hombre Caiman. Originating from Colombia, El Hombre Caiman's legend is one that's a little weird. See, Saul Montenegro was a bit of a peeping Tom, and his favorite spots to do so was the Magdalena River. Fearing being revealed, he visited a witch and bought a potion that would allow him to turn into an alligator. Given 2 potions, the first was to turn him into his newly bescaled form, while the second was to turn him back to his usual pervy self. His system continued to his pleasure for a while, with a friend carrying the second potion and distributing it at Montenegro's leisure. However, one day the friend made a mistake, frightened by the alligator form, and dropped the reversal potion into the water. Now, some of it did land on Montenegro, just enough to turn his torso back into the form of a man, but his legs remained those of the alligator, and so he remained.
untamed, eternally hunted like the freak he was. Number 9. Encantado. A strange group of pink dolphins that is said to be located within the Amazon. These little weirdos are generally helpful to fishermen, with some claiming they even hold power over local weather. They're even professed to aid people that are drowning, but for all their good deeds, they do hold a pretty nasty little secret. See, the Encantado are profess to be capable of changing their form, turning into men once a year at Festa Junina. Wearing hats to conceal their blowholes, these handsome gentlemen join the festival where they seduce local women, and then proceed to leave them with a child that they won't be planning to raise. Ew. Number 8. El Cuero. A cousin of the similarly shaped Weke Weke, this horrible monstrosity is professed to hide in lakes, floating on the water's surface. With a spotted hide, it's generally easy to mistake this creature for a discarded cow's hide, but it's best not to be fooled. Concealed beneath the skin are a collection of teeth, stalked eyes, claws that line the edges of the hide, and a mouth that can extend to better consume its prey. There are even some reports that claim El Cuero can use weaponry, mostly knives and anything else its quarry might have been carrying. Supposedly, El Cuero is particularly fond of drinking blood, a number of its teeth being fangs. With all of that in mind, it's pretty safe to say that if you see a cowhide floating on a lake, you should just leave it alone. Even better, just leave. Number 7. Maricoxi. You know, with every culture in the world having some kind of variation on the Bigfoot legend, maybe it's time we started taking them a little bit seriously. However, the Maricoxi aren't just content to blurrily walk in front of cameras. Supposedly found by Percy Fawcett in an expedition to the Amazon in 1914, the Maricoxi were reported to live near the Muksubi tribe. Upon sighting Fawcett, they reportedly made overtures of diplomacy, but negotiations crumbled as Fawcett claimed to have been threatened with a bow. They opened fire on the Maricoxi, who responded in kind. Probably would have just been better to leave them alone, you feel? Number 6. Tapir Iwara. Occasionally referred to as water jaguars, these strange creatures appear to be hybrids between tapirs and jaguars. Roughly the size of a cow, they're estimated to be carnivores, though attacks on humans are rare. Social creatures, the tapir Iwara defend each other when threatened. Sometimes they're hunted due to being viewed as pests, though this is dangerous as one of their strangest defensive abilities is their ability to steal the soul of any who approach them. Reportedly, victims have developed mental illness and symptoms of malaria after just simply seeing or smelling the tapir Iwara. The soul can be returned so long as a professional shaman does it, but some claim that smelling salts can be enough to get the job done.
Number 5. Bat Squatch. The Bat Squatch is a flying cryptid that was allegedly seen near Mount St. Helens in the 1980s. This creature is said to have yellow eyes, a dog-like muzzle, blue fur, sharp teeth, bird-like feet, and a leathery bat-like wings that span up to 50 feet. In addition, Bat Squatch is said to be 9 feet tall and has the ability to affect car engines. In April 1994, Brian Canfield was driving in Washington's Pierce County when his truck suddenly died. He said a large creature landed in front of him that was human-like, 9 feet tall, with bat-like wings and a coat of blue fur. A possible second sighting was reported in 2009 near Mount Shasta in California. Several hikers witnessed a huge creature with leathery wings spanning 50 feet fly out of a crevice in the mountain. At first, an eyewitness described the creature as having a head similar to a pterodactyl. However, upon reconsideration, the witness claimed that it was more akin to a flying fox bat. Then, in June 2011, a man was in his yard walking his dog and said, "I saw something flying in the sky. It had bat wings, blue fur, and had a face similar to eyes growing red. It was about 9 feet tall at the least, and I watched it just fly away." Number 4. Jersey Devil. The Jersey Devil is a legendary creature said to inhabit the forests of the Pine Barrens in South Jersey. This creature is often described as a flying biped with hooves, but there are many variations. The common description is that of a bipedal kangaroo or wyvern-like creature with a horse or goat-like head, leathery bat-like wings, horns, small arms with clawed hands, legs with cloven hooves, and a forked or pointed tail. It has been reported to move quickly and is often described as emitting a high-pitched blood-curdling scream. According to popular folklore, the Jersey Devil originated with a Pine Barrens resident named Jade Leeds, also known as Mother Leeds. The legend states that Mother Leeds had 12 children, and after discovering she was pregnant for the 13th time, she cursed the child in frustration, declaring that the child would be the devil. Born as a normal child, the 13th child transformed into the creature with hooves, a goat's head, bat wings, and a forked tail. Growling and screaming, the child beat everyone with its tail before flying up the chimney and heading into the pines. It was in some versions of the tale that Mother Leeds was supposedly a witch, and the child's father was the devil himself. Then one of the first reported Jersey Devil sightings was in 1812, when Joseph Bonaparte, Napoleon's older brother, claimed he saw the Jersey Devil while hunting near his Bordentown estate. Number 3. Mothman. In West Virginia folklore, the Mothman is a humanoid creature reportedly seen in the Point Pleasant area from November 5th, 1966 to December 15th, 1967. The first newspaper report was published on the Point Pleasant Register, dated November 16th, 1966, titled "Couple See Man-Sized Bird, Creature, Something." The national press soon picked up on the reports and helped spread the news story across the United States. On November 15th, 1996, two young couples from Point Pleasant, Dickie and Linda Maxwell, and Steve and Mary Mallet, told police that they had seen a large white creature whose eyes glowed red, standing at the side of the road near the TNT area, the site of the former World War II munitions plant. Linda Scarberry described it as a slender, muscular man, about 7 feet tall with white wings, and said that she was unable to discern its face due to the hypnotic effects of its eyes. Distressed, the witnesses drove away at a high speed and said that the creature flew after their car, making a screeching sound. It pursued them as far as Point Pleasant city limits, and during the next few days, other people reported similar sightings after local newspapers reported it. Two volunteer firemen who saw it said it was a large bird with red eyes. Number 2. Skunk ape. The skunk ape is a cryptid ape-like creature that inhabits forests and swamps in the southeastern United States. Perhaps most prominent in the state of Florida, the alleged creature is also commonly referred to as the Florida Bigfoot and is often compared to or called the cousin of Bigfoot, a prominent subject within North America popular culture. Now, the skunk ape is commonly described as a bipedal ape-like creature, approximately 5 to 7 feet tall and covered in malted reddish-brown hair. It is named for its foul odor, often described as being similar to a skunk. The skunk ape has been recorded as appearing in Florida, Georgia, and Alabama folklore since European settlers first occupied the region. In 1818, local newspapers reported a story that spoke of a man-sized monkey raiding food stores and stalking fishermen along the shore. And coming at number 1 is Skinwalkers. In Navajo culture, a skinwalker is a type of harmful witch who has the ability to turn into, possess, or disguise themselves as an animal. According to some traditions, skinwalkers were once healers and medicine men who were corrupted by their own power and turned evil. By draping the hide of certain animals over themselves, the witch takes on the form and traits of the animal. Now, in doing so, the witch gains the animal's strength, speed, and endurance. They sometimes transform themselves into animals simply for the purpose of traversing great distances quickly. They may also transform in order to wreak havoc on others, as well as their identity will be hidden and they'll be able to escape quickly if necessary. Now, they curse people and cause great suffering and death, one Navajo writer explained. At night, their eyes grow red like hot coals. It is said that if you see the face of a skinwalker, they have to kill you. If you see one and know who it is, you will die. If you see them and you don't know them, they have to kill you to keep you from finding out who they are. Skinwalkers are also telepathically linked with each other, enhancing their coordination during hunts and fights, but allowing little or no privacy at any time. Now, they can also copy animal or human voices to lure victims to feed on. They generally copy the sound of a human that is in need of help, so make sure you don't get tricked.
Number 10. Mothman. So the Mothman is this big old flying dude with wings and red eyes. Floats around and you know what? Boo! Mothman sucks. Look, okay, I grew up in the area where this cryptid is supposedly like haunted, and you know what? Yeah, I did see him. You know, big old spooky red eyes flying around doing whatever. Oh no, he was near a bridge when it collapsed. He precipitated disaster. The only thing that actually happened to me when I saw him was this: my house flooded, I failed all my final tests, and my girlfriend broke up with me. I mean, who even cares, right? God, Mothman is such a loser. Oh, I'm a big scary moth. Look at me. Oh, I'm mothing it up. Oh. No, I'm not bitter. Shut up. Number 9. Demon Cat. Good old Demon Cat. Making its home in Washington, D.C., this fiendish feline is known to stalk the White House and the United States Capitol building. Supposedly in the 1800s, cats were brought to the Capitol building as a means of combating the rat problem. And while they couldn't get all the politicians, some legends claim that one cat remained stalking the basements. It can only be seen prior to elections and other tragedies in Washington, supposedly having been seen before the assassinations of JFK and Lincoln. Why has this kitty stuck itself in the minds of those who have seen it? Well, apparently when spotted, this cat actually grows to massive proportions, leaping at its viewer before just vanishing. Now, some blame the Capitol Police Force's poor screening for alcoholics at the source of this misunderstanding, as when viewed from the floor, anything might appear large. But as one guard was apparently taken by a heart attack upon seeing the categorical size of such the beast, who can really say for sure? Number 8. Sewer alligators. Taking a big ol' bite out of the big ol' apple are our guys in green, the sewer gators. According to the New York Times, there's actually a massive problem with folks trying to keep alligators as pets within the city. But as for the ones that aren't caught, what might happen to their pets once they've outgrown their owners? Now, legend has it that in the 1930s an infestation began, gators making their home within New York's stinky subsystems. Supposedly, they've clashed with the NYPD, who claimed to have vanished their bescaled opponents, though sightings have continued throughout the modern days. Likely their greatest impact was the inspiration for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, though I might just be making that up. Number 7. The Honey Island Swamp Monster. Better known as Le Bête Noire, this humanoid horror is reported to be located within the Honey Island Swamp in Louisiana. Described as walking on 2 legs and 7 feet tall, Le Bête Noire is reported to be preceded by a foul odor. Now, casts have been taken of its feet, showing a total of 4 toes, which indicates that it may not be related to humans or apes, as some legends claim that a crashed circus train may have allowed for a band of chimpanzees to escape into the wild, where they probably adapted to their environment and fell into legend. Knowing how circuses generally treat their animals, good for them. Number 6. Lava bear. Discovered in the area surrounding South Central Oregon, the lava bears are a group of extremely small bears that have been observed emerging from the lava beds common to the area. Several hunters have claimed to have caught these ferocious beasts, which initially appeared to be bear cubs but were in fact fully grown adults. Once news of this made rounds, the hunt for the bears was on, and in 1923, one was caught by a US Forest Service trapper by the name of Alfred Andrews. Andrews was offered a reward for the bear's body, but turned it down in favor of parading it around the country, making quite a chunk of change on the side, until his partner stole the bear and vanished. Several other bears have been captured, and in 1924, one of the local high schools decided that its mascot would become the lava bear. It is also still their mascot. Seriously. Number 5. Saucy. Generally considered to be a bit of a pain in the neck, Saucy is a one-legged man wearing a red cap and smoking a pipe. Originally from the Tupi-Guarani mythology, Saucy is generally known to reside within dust devils, and is commonly attributed with their creation. There are multiple versions of Saucy, and he's known to be able to even turn invisible or shapeshift into a large bird to escape capture. When given a chance, Saucy will cause mischief in just about any way he can, hiding toys, keeping popcorn from popping, dropping rakes where people will step on them. It's generally stated that if something goes wrong, 9 times out of 10 it's because Saucy thought it'd be funny. That being said, he can be captured whether with a rosary, a bottle, or even just by stealing his red cap. From there, he might become a friend. But if he's treated poorly, you better watch out. Number 4. Yakumama. With the name Mother of Water, this massive serpent supposedly resides within the Amazon rainforest. Attributed with the birthing of all creatures in the famed Amazon River, Yakumama is known to hunt by ingesting massive amounts of water, which it then spits at its prey. The sheer force enough to knock out the victim, who will then be ingested by the serpent's leisure. Supposedly, if one decides to fish in any river and they see an unbelievable bounty of fish within its waters, they must blow a conch horn before engaging in their hunt. The Yakumama will then reveal itself if it's nearby, its plot foiled and the fisherman given a chance to escape. The whims of Yakumama are strange indeed, as unlike most reptiles, it doesn't always consume its prey, sometimes simply frightening them to to the point where they run away, though why it does this remains to be seen. Number 3. Wallapen. A Chilean creature, the wallapen resides mostly within lakes and rivers. With the body of a sheep, the head of a cow, and flipper-like feet, this creature is supposedly capable of inducing miscarriages upon sight alone. While harmless on land, wallapen are famously violent when encountered in their natural habitat. Even stranger still, they appear to be capable of mating with both cows and sheep, which does at least explain their bizarre appearance. Some believe that they might be the source of, or a possibly younger version of El Cuero, the wallapen potentially shedding its skin, which might then be taken on by or transform into El Cuero. Regardless, these creatures are just another reason why I won't be taking a dip in any rivers anytime soon. Number 2. The headless mule. We don't need a headless horse, man. We've got a headless horse, man. Supposedly a curse inflicted upon a sinning woman, this creature only appears between the evenings of Thursday and the mornings of Friday. It sprints between parishes, spewing flames from its neck and stopping for almost nothing as its path eventually leads to the location where its sin was committed. Supposedly, pricking the mules with a needle can temporarily stop the curse, as can tying her to a cross, but the only way to remove the curse for good is for someone to marry her. All one needs to do to avoid being trampled is to lie down and cover oneself with nails, teeth, or anything else that might shine. This will render the victim mostly invisible to the mule, who may then leave peacefully. Number 1. Patasola. Appearing as a one-legged woman, the similarities with Saucy end just about there. Her origins can vary, but usually relate to some infidelity or act of cruelty committed before her death. When resurrected, a Patasola will begin her hunt, and is deeply protective of nature and those within. While she is known for generally just causing mischief, her grievances are more squarely aimed at hunters and loggers, interfering with their work the most. Luring her prey into the forest, Patasola then drains them of their blood, and is known to be able to shapeshift into a dog or a cow. She's also famed for singing from the treetops when she's completed a hunt.
In our number 10 spot, we have Nessie is real. Okay guys, the Loch Ness Monster is real. At least that's what I think after watching this recent video shot from the air looking down upon the water. There is literally a long neck looking dinosaur in the water, and it has to be Nessie himself. Herself? Is Nessie a girl? This is definitely some footage that has been buried deep by the governments of the world, including the FBI. And why, you may ask? Damn, I don't know. Perhaps the discovery of this ancient creature could mean that there's more magical creatures out there. It could mean that there is a portal to a new world in the lake. Or perhaps it means that the wizarding world of Harry Potter is real. Anyways, this video I think is substantial proof that the cryptid that is known as the Loch Ness Monster is in fact real. If you're enjoying this video, don't forget to smash that like button, as it really helps us out. In our number 9 spot, we have the Deep Sea Cryptid. Okay, this footage blew my mind when I saw it. I personally think this is proof of yet another mythical ocean creature slash cryptid that we are unaware of yet. The ocean is so big and mysterious, I bet you even mermaids exist. In August of 2018, the Japan Agency of Marine Earth Science and Technology, when they found something in the waters of Sagami Bay near Tokyo. A big creature with big glowing eyes and a gaping mouth. Now at first it appears to move, but as the camera gets closer, it appears to freeze in place. And so, since we don't see it move much, some people say that it's an illusion of a creature and that it's really just a rock that looks like it has eyes, as humans have a tendency to see faces in inanimate objects. But what if it's a creature that became aware of the fact that it was being watched, and so it froze to look like a rock? This creature legit looks like it stepped right out of Monsters Inc. I don't know. Anyways, this footage could be nothing, or it could be everything, and that's why it's possible that it's being marketed as possibly nothing. In our number 8 spot, we have the hide behind. I had no idea what this was before I researched this video, but apparently there is an ancient creature known as a hide behind. And these creatures used to hide in forests and were nocturnal, and they would prey upon humans that wander the woods, such as lumberjacks. They are said to be able to conceal themselves. The creature quickly hides behind an object so it's not directly seen. This is how it's able to attack human prey, by stalking them from afar and not be seen. Anyways, now that you know what a hide behind is, this video that was captured by a grandmother certainly shows a creature that looks just like a hide behind. A shadow, if you will. If this video was not staged, and it is real, like they claim, then I definitely think this is proof of some kind of hide behind or mythical creature. Perhaps it's Bigfoot, but certainly this shadowy figure doesn't seem completely normal. In our number 7 spot, we have the Kraken. The giant squid known around the world as the Kraken is an enormous squid-like sea monster originally from Scandinavian folklore. People believe tales of the creature were created after fishermen spotted giant squid out on the water. Anyways, recently something very mysterious was discovered when zooming into the middle of the sea on Google Earth. A strange, large creature that appears to light up and looks to be very large and is creating a wake. Google Earth's measuring tool has shown that the wake is over 250 meters wide. This picture has surely had the FBI concerned, as the internet has been going crazy trying to figure out if that's a kraken, an ancient dinosaur-like fish, or an alien craft that perhaps crashed into the water or is in the water. Without a doubt though, there's something mysterious going on there. Where is the light coming from, my friends? My vote is for alien craft. That makes more sense in terms of where the light is coming from. In our number 6 spot, we have the alien sea creature. This may be our biggest piece of proof that aliens might live underneath us or in the water. This video captured from a Brazilian beach was buried deep online, probably by the FBI because of its mysteriousness. It showcases a very strange looking creature in the water that looks just like every picture of an alien that I've ever seen. Ever think about where we originally got our idea for how aliens look? Yeah, well, probably from meeting them, or possibly from seeing creatures like this. This creature looks like it has arms and legs and is just walking around the shore and isn't seemingly looking threatening, just going about and doing its thing. It was described as a jellyfish-like monster. If that isn't an alien, then please explain to us what that is. Conclusion? It's an alien sea creature.
Number 5, the black dog. Yeah, I put this in here to contrast the demon cat because I, think they should be friends. The black dog is a demonic creature originating in Europe, most famously in the story The Hound of the Baskervilles, but it's also been cited in the States. A beast with burning red eyes, W.H.C. Pynchon wrote, "If you meet the black dog once, it shall be for joy. If twice, it shall be for sorrow, and the third time shall bring death." Demonic dogs have been spotted in Connecticut and Massachusetts, and truckers have a saying where if you see one, it's time to pull over or a crash will be the least of your concerns. Number 4, Ludwig the Bloodsucker. Back to New York, and it turns out that gators aren't the only things looking to take a bite out of streetwalkers. Described as a 3-foot-tall German man, Ludwig the Bloodsucker is reported to be a local vampire. Now, legends claim that he was too minute to take down a German man and too ugly to seduce a German woman, so he just booked it over to the States for easier pickings. Haunting the Bowery Street, several victims were left alive but incessantly mocked by the vampire, usually for their drunken stupor. Local newspapers reported about the man's habits, locating him as a German tailor by day. There are apparently even interviews where he goes on record to claim that blood is healthy and good eating. Mixed with the way that immigrants were treated at the time, I doubt that went over well. Number 3, Two-Toed Tom. Listen, there's a lot of gators in the States, but Two-Toed Tom might be the most famous. The story goes that this 14-foot alligator could be identified for having lost all but 2 toes to a trap, and would eat farmers and their livestock. Now, fed up with the beast, many brave men would band together to hunt the reptile, but whether it was ex-military marksmen or dynamite-brandishing pharmacers, none could destroy this devil. Bored with Alabama, the gator was reported to have left its hunting grounds, apparently settling for Florida, where there would be more failed attempts to take down two-toes. 50 years later, a series of two-toed tracks were discovered near his old hunting ground, and the legend of two-toed Tom marches on. Number 2. Hodag. Now, this strange creature made its home in Wisconsin, described as possessing the head of a frog, the face of an elephant, short legs with massive claws, the back of a dinosaur, and a long spiked tail. Reported by land surveyor and trusted member of the community Eugene Shepard, he rounded up a group of brave hunters to capture the beast, an attempt which apparently required the usage of dynamite. Sending a picture of its remains to the media, they declared the safety of its primary food source for all time to come, the white bulldog. Thank goodness that the white bulldog may now roam Wisconsin once more. Alright, fine, it was a big hoax, and it was a really good one. Good enough that the local town decided to build a statue in honor of the beast. They also hold a festival in its name, which I've actually been to, but the effort that went into this hoax was actually quite extensive, and when Shepard had claimed to capture the creature, he even displayed it using a puppet show, piloting a wooden facsimile of the beast. Number 1. The Jersey Devil. Here's a real classic, the Jersey Devil, known for living in Jersey. Well, okay, taste and location aside, this creature is a sight to behold, a horse-like demon with bat wings and a forked tail. It was apparently born human, the 13th offspring of Mother Jane Leeds, who had cursed the unborn upon discovery of her pregnancy. Once born, the demon was revealed in all its horror, and gave everyone in the room a highly motivated beatdown before yeeting itself up and out the chimney. There have been sightings of this creature throughout history, one of the most notable viewers being Napoleon's brother. Seriously. This creature has also been reported to be capable of surviving direct cannon fire, and in 1909 there were a slew of sightings which set off a search for the fabled devil. A search which mostly ended in vain, even though there was a $10,000 reward that was promised for live capture. And of course, someone then tried to submit a kangaroo with fake claws and bat wings. Anyways, it's just another reason not to go to Jersey, and it's just about as good of one as any.
And we're starting it off today with Puckwajis. The Puckwaji is a creature from Native American folklore that is said to inhabit the forests of the northeastern United States. According to legend, Puckwajis are mischievous tricksters who can cause harm to humans if they are angered or offended. There have been a number of reported sightings of the creatures throughout Ohio. According to folklore, Puckwajis are small, humanoid creatures that stand about 2 to 3 feet tall. They are said to have gray skin, large ears, and a large nose. Some legends also describe them as having quills or spines on their backs. They're believed to be skilled hunters and are said to use their magical powers to disappear and reappear at will. They're also said to have the ability to shapeshift into animals or objects. In some Native American traditions, Puckwajis are viewed as protectors of the forest and are said to have the power to ward off evil spirits. However, in other legends, Puckwajis are seen as mischievous troublemakers who enjoy playing pranks on humans. So if you do happen to see one, prepare to be clowned. Next on the list, we have the cedar bog monster. Now, this is one of those cryptids that could very well be a Sasquatch, or of course, Grassman as it's known locally in Ohio. It's more of a name given to the specific place this creature was seen though. When Cedar Bog opened as a nature preserve in 1942, people immediately began flocking to the area to witness the various species of birds, the fish and plants, and just soak in the nature. But what they didn't expect or want to see was a large, hairy humanoid creature, but many did report seeing the big ape-like creature strolling along Woodburn Road, which runs right beside the bog. They reported that whatever the thing was too large to be a man. I'm also sure the fur and gorilla-like face kinda gave that away too, possibly. There was also an incident where 3 teenagers went missing in the park while on a camping trip. Apparently, there were reports of loud screams coming from Cedar Bog. At number 8, we have the Charles Mills Lake Monster. Now, there's only one reported encounter with this creature, but it's a pretty eerie story. On the night of March 28th, 1959. 1959 is going to come up a lot on this list, by the way. I don't know what it was about that year, but there was some stuff going on in Ohio. Anyway, 3 teenage boys had been hanging out around the Charles Mill Reservoir when they suddenly saw something forming out of the dark water before them. It was a 7-foot-tall humanoid that began moving towards them. It was described as having no arms, bright glowing green eyes, and webbed feet. The teens obviously booked it out of there and reported what they saw to authorities, who made their way to the area, where they came across footprints, if you could even describe whatever made the tracks as feet. They were large indents that appeared as if they were made by webbed feet. Who knows what this thing was? Even if it was real or just a hoax, there was indeed a large fishy monster skulking around the lake. I'm guessing it must have smelt like a sewer. Number 7, alien big cats. Alien big cats are a very real thing. These are big cats like panthers or leopards found outside of their natural environments. The alien part doesn't mean that these cats are from outer space, but then again, who knows how they got there, right? In 2011, there were several sightings of supposed alien big cats in and around Dayton, Ohio. A private zoo owner by the name of Terry Thompson had released upwards of 50 animals into the wild before, unfortunately, taking his own life in October of 2011, which resulted in, of course, several reports of large cats spotted throughout the area. 48 of them were either put under by police or sent off to Columbus Zoo. There had been reports of alien big cat sightings before these animals were known to be released, though, which is strange. Multiple sightings of black panthers dating back to April of 2011, and police would continue investigating sightings until around April of 2012. Phantom kangaroos. Alright, so we have big cats being reported in Ohio, so now we're moving on to kangaroos. Ohio is just full of dangerous wildlife, apparently. The phantom kangaroo is a cryptid that is said to resemble a kangaroo or wallaby and is believed to inhabit various parts of the world, including the United States. Basically, again, these are kangaroos showing up in places they shouldn't be, like Ohio. Except the stranger part is that these phantom kangaroos have been spotted where no escaped kangaroos have been reported. The creature is known for its elusive nature, as well as its ability to seemingly disappear without a trace and leave no evidence behind, almost like a ghost. A phantom kangaroo, if you will. Some experts believe that these sightings may be the result of misidentifications, of course, of other animals like large domestic dogs or coyotes, but I don't know, maybe there's some kangies running around in Ohio. This video was uploaded to YouTube by Paranormal Planet, who'd been exploring an ice cave in Hallstatt, Austria. Most of the video is just pretty standard touristy type footage of the cave until we get to the end and see whatever this is. That is a pretty freaky looking creature. Now, my first thought was like, I don't know, maybe it's a frog or something, but according to the uploader, this thing was the size of a large man, and they were also standing far enough away that they wouldn't have picked it up in this kind of detail if it was something as small as a frog. So if that's to be believed, then this is a pretty strange piece of footage, and honestly, the more I do look at it, the less frog-like this thing really looks. I mean, frogs don't really articulate like this, and they don't usually chill in ice caves either. And the way it bends its limbs almost looks like how a human would climb, except it's way too long and spindly to be a person. So I don't know what this is. Let me know your thoughts down below. This next video was posted to Facebook by a man named Clay Shiner. He was filming the woods one evening because he spotted something moving just behind the tree line. Turns out it was not a bear. The thing that really struck me about this video is how long this thing's arms are. At first it just looks like, you know, a typical formless black shape hiding in the trees like so many Sasquatch videos you see. But when it steps forward a bit and stretches its arms out to the sides, it's like, damn, those are long, very ape-like and very creepy. Reddit user Adjacent Gunman posted this image with the caption, "Over a year ago, this picture was taken by a trail cam back on my property. This version has been lightened. It's something holding a dead coyote by the throat, and it stands about 7.5 to 8 feet tall." He also posted an unedited version of the image. He said he based the thing's height off of where its eyes are compared to his cabin. Now, this thing is hard to make out, but there's definitely something there. Could it be a bear standing on its hind legs? Possibly, but the way it's holding its prey, it looks almost humanoid. But I don't know, maybe that's just my wishful thinking. I wholeheartedly want Bigfoot to be real. Uploaded to the YouTube channel Hola Bible in 2011, this video really creeped a lot of people out. The uploader said he'd been hearing some strange sounds coming from the forest behind his home in Oregon. Keep in mind, he lived 6 miles from the nearest city. He went out to investigate with a night vision camera. Well, he didn't get very far before he came across the source of these strange noises. Crouching in some brush was some sort of odd-looking, hairless creature. He zooms into the thing a bit, trying to make out what the hell it is, and then this happens. So it looks like Gollum was lurking around this guy's woods, or an alien, or a rake. It looks like a lot of things, all of them creepy, none of which you'd want skulking around in your backyard. I just hope this dude moved. And finally, I have another piece of Bigfoot footage for you. This video comes out of Russia, and in it, we see some folks filming some woods near their property. They'd spotted something sprinting through the trees, and what they see is pretty shocking. What's really cool about this video is how the thing moves. How many supposed Bigfoot videos do you see where it's just this figure like lumbering through the trees, like a dude in a costume, unsure of their footing? You kind of see them trying to keep their balance. Well, that is not the case here. This thing is sprinting at high speed and leaping across the ground as if it's an animal that is very familiar with its environment. That's why this has become such a well-known clip in the Sasquatch community, which no, I'm not a part of, but my interest is still very much there.
Starting us off at number 10, the Kraken. The subject of many a superstitious sailor, this creature originated from Scandinavian folklore and is depicted as an aggressive, cephalopod-like creature capable of destroying entire ships and dragging sailors to their doom. Legends say that the creature could even devour a whole ship and its crew in entirety, and if that didn't work, it would swim around the ship in circles to create a whirlpool, sucking the ship down into the deep, dark depths of the sea. Though it seems like a death sentence, many sailors would take the risk and approach the beast, as it said huge schools of fish would surround the creature, and I guess they wanted to take their chances. And now, one Reddit user, Brave and Butter, believes they saw one on Google Maps. Their post says, quote, "I'm sure I'm not the first to find this, but it seems to be some sort of kraken. The spot in question is near a place called Deception Island in the Antarctic region, and they theorize that the dark spot on the bottom left is actually the giant squid-like creature from a sailor's nightmare." I mean, to be fair, we do know of actual giant cephalopods that have been caught, though not the size told in tales of the Kraken, but still, there could be some truth here. What do you think? Next up at number 9, Kentucky Beast. Off Highway 119 in Bell County, Kentucky, a few friends posted online saying they saw an inhuman creature right where, quote, "the Christmas store used to sit on 119 outside of Callaway on the right side of the road in the field with all the white cows," which sounds like a very specific location. According to the Google Maps details, the cryptid was some kind of large gray creature with the head of a man and unusually sized paws that left huge prints in the area. So yeah, not something you plan to see on the highway. According to the description, some people think they could have seen some kind of dog man, but honestly, who knows? From the sounds of it, it doesn't seem like they stuck around long enough to get a good look at this mysterious beast, and you know what? I don't blame them. Whatever it is, hopefully it comes in peace. Next up at number 8, Mothman. The legend of Mothman began in 1966 West Virginia after a group of grave diggers working late spotted an incredibly strange creature soaring over their heads, jumping from tree to tree. But it didn't stop there. Soon others were reporting a similar creature, described as measuring 7 feet tall, with beady red eyes and a wingspan of 10 feet, able to travel at incredibly fast speeds. Which, truthfully, kind of sounds like a demon if you ask me, but let's hope not. Now, there wasn't much evidence to back up this terrifying cryptid until one Reddit user posted it to a Mothman subreddit with a Google Maps image that appears to be the Mothman in plain sight in a forest. Many of the comments on this post claim how terrifying this is and how this proves once and for all that the cryptid is real, but I'll be honest, I might need a little more convincing. While this image certainly looks like a perfect match to the Mothman, I must admit it does kind of look like someone is wearing a suit. But hey, maybe I am wrong, and maybe we should be very worried that someone finally captured evidence of this terrifying creature. Coming in at number 7, fairies. Now, some of you who aren't familiar with fae might be asking yourself at this point, what could these adorable little creatures be doing on a list for terrifying cryptids? Well, unlike what Disney would have you believe, fairies come in many different forms and can be very scary creatures, and messing with any kind of fae is definitely a very, very, very bad idea. Now, luckily for this next person, they don't seem to have angered whatever it is they saw, but I can only imagine how terrifying it would have been in the moment. Reportedly, a 15-year-old boy was out for a walk when he spotted 2 strange creatures fishing. The cryptids were very short, unlike the size of any human he had ever seen, dressed in all green, wore brown shoes, and were talking to each other in Gaelic before they noticed him and vanished almost immediately. After they disappeared, the boy got closer to the spot he saw them and found a small pipe left behind that, according to him, disappeared later that night after he had safely locked it away. According to him, no one in his family took it, and he knows the box was locked. So do you think the leprechauns could have returned for their pipe? Let's just hope they didn't leave any kind of evil curse on him if they did. Coming in at number 6, a mysterious creature. Posted online in June of 2022, this sighting was not just creepy and inexplicable to the general public, it even became a news story across the entire country. Apparently, this strange creature that is being called Wolfman was caught on camera walking around the Amarillo Zoo in Texas, and no one can figure out what the heck it is. According to city officials, it is real and not doctored footage, but that kind of just makes it even more concerning. It doesn't appear to be any kind of animal we're familiar with, and it is certainly not a human either. At least, no one thinks so at this point. This UAO, or unidentified Amarillo object, as it's being called, has people up in arms, with some saying it's a chupacabra, the absolutely horrific folklore creature that's said to live in the southern United States and attack and devour livestock. But that's not the only theory circulating the internet. There are conspiracy theories that it's an evil alien coming to Earth, that it's a skinwalker, or that it's even some kind of Sasquatch. But honestly, I just hope that whatever it is, it's not looking to hurt anyone.
Number 5, devil monkeys. So yeah, it seems like there are all kinds of hairy apes and monkeys in Ohio as well. Who would have guessed? You got Grassman, who may or may not be Bigfoot, the hairy orange-eyed creature we talked about in part 1, and now this baboon-looking beast. The devil monkey is a cryptid that is believed to inhabit the forests and rural areas of North America, described as a large, aggressive primate-like creature with gray or black fur and red eyes. The devil monkey is known for its terrifying appearance and alleged attacks on humans and domestic animals. There have been numerous reports of sightings of the creature in Ohio and other parts of the US. Witnesses have described encountering a large bipedal creature that stands on 2 legs and resembles a monkey or baboon with a fierce expression and a tendency to attack without provocation. There are many folks that are convinced that the devil monkey is a real creature, and sightings continue to be reported until this day. Some cryptozoologists speculate that the devil monkey may be a new species of primate that is yet to be officially recognized, while others believe it could be a surviving member of a prehistoric primate species that was previously thought to be extinct. The Trumbull County UFO incident. Next up, we have a well-documented UFO sighting. There have been multiple UFO sightings in the state of Ohio, dating back a long ways, but this one is from 1994. I don't see why aliens wouldn't want to observe Ohio. Seems like there's a lot going on, as you could probably tell from these lists. Maybe they were hovering around, placing bets on what creature they'd spot first. Lots to choose from. There were tons of witnesses to this odd event on December 14th, 1994. Citizens, multiple police officers, dispatchers. It was pretty significant. Multiple residents had reported seeing low flying lights in the sky. The first police officer on the scene, Sergeant Toby Malero, had a pretty odd incident. As he was moving closer to the odd lights in the sky, talking with the dispatcher the entire time, his radio suddenly stopped working and his vehicle just shut off before he was engulfed in a bright light from above. He exited his vehicle, not quite knowing how to go about this odd occurrence, and reported seeing a giant circular shaped object hovering in the sky, which apparently made no sound. Once the object flew away, his car and radio, bam, started working again. 14 other law enforcement officers also saw these mysterious UFOs that night, with one even climbing up on a radar tower for a better view, and then claimed to have seen 3 circular flying objects that changed color in unison. Number 3, Helltown. So while this one is a place and not actually a cryptid per se, it is reported to be an incredibly strange and dangerous place where all sorts of spooky happenings occur. Helltown has been left behind, now an abandoned town where nothing but empty homes, cathedrals, and unused bridges still stand, though there are some who are said to still reside there, such as ghosts, mutant animals, and cultists. The residents of the town formerly known as Boston, Ohio, had been forced to leave their homes in 1974 when President Gerald Ford signed a bill that gave the federal government's National Park Service jurisdiction to expropriate land for establishment of natural parks. The NPS began buying up properties, and eventually it was a ghost town. In the mid-80s, there were several chemical spills in Helltown that some believed resulted in the mutated animals spotted in the area. And apparently there's also a haunted school bus and stuff like that. Interesting place to go, I'd imagine. And at number 2, we have Octoman. On a cold Cincinnati night in January of 1959, police began receiving several reports of a strange octopus-like creature. It started with a man who called police in a panic, saying that he saw something come out of the river, calling it completely indescribable. This report was followed by one from a truck driver just soon after, claiming to have seen a strange creature while driving into Cincinnati. More and more reports began coming in, but it was hard for anyone to describe exactly what they were seeing. What police did note, however, was that the people calling about these encounters sounded pretty shaken up. Even though the police kind of didn't believe it, they were joking a little bit, that was one thing they did know. These people sounded like they did see something. The more reports that came in as well, the closer they would get to form a description of the creature. A very large creature with grayish skin, tentacles, and a lopsided chest. Sounds like a pretty attractive creature there. One person was stated as saying, "It was large, not a dog or a cat. It leaped in front of my car and on 2 legs and it was taller than the auto. When I looked back in my mirror, it was moving along the bridge rail. It was 3 or 4 times the size of a man and much bulkier. I have an eye in mind for dimensions, and I know it was huge." And coming in at number 1 is the Peninsula Python. Now, this is a really interesting one because it really did exist. Sure, it's not really a cryptid per se, but this was an incident that actually took place, and it's pretty wild stuff. The summer of 1944, people in Summit County, Ohio began spotting a massive-sized python in Cuyahoga Valley National Park. It was reported being around 15 feet in length and incredibly thick. It was a python, definitely a real animal. It was just in the wrong part of the world, that's all. It's still kind of a mystery as to how it got there, but it's rumored that it was being transported through the area, possibly for a circus or something, but managed to escape. Residents were understandably pretty scared that summer as the giant snake roamed through farms, leaving giant tire-sized indents in its wake. It even attacked livestock. The python was also never found. Just disappeared eventually. Most likely died curled up somewhere after succumbing to the Ohio winter though. What you're looking at here may not look like much at first glance. It's a snake. I mean, big deal, right? Well, the thing is, this is an aerial photograph taken way up in a helicopter. That snake is said to have been 50 feet long. Back in 1959, Colonel Remy van Leerde, an experienced Belgian World War II fighter pilot, was flying a helicopter over the Congo. As he's flying over the jungle in the Katanga region, he spots something moving down below. He claimed it was a massive snake, and it would have had to be for it to catch his eye way up in a chopper.
Then I was already flying for 25 years, so I have a very good experience of measuring things. And I would say the snake I saw there was close to 50 foot.
The snake had green and brown scales and a head that was apparently 3 feet long and 2 feet wide. You could fit a grown man in its mouth. And as he flew in closer, the snake rose up off the ground about 10 feet into the air like it was trying to strike at the chopper. Van Leerde circled around a few times so someone else on board could snap a photo of it. Of course, skeptics have their doubts, but he stuck to his story up until his death in 1990. But what do you think he saw out there in the jungle? A new species, a leftover from the dinosaur age, or was the whole story a hoax? Let me know what you think in the comments. This next story takes us deep into the heart of Texas, a little rural spot called Davina out in Fayette County. Michael Demmel captured something really strange on a hunting camera on his property. He has a bunch of these cameras set up, using them to track wildlife like coyotes, bobcats, and raccoons. These motion sensor cameras take about 100 pictures a day, and Michael goes through them every single day. He's been doing this for 10 years, so when he says something looks off, that's really saying something. Well, one night he captured whatever this thing was. He said he thought it was a monkey at first, and to be fair, in the blurry photo it kinda does look like one. Of course, that would still be very, very strange. There are no monkeys just running around in Texas unless one escaped from a zoo, and no, there were no monkey jailbreaks reported. So he shows the image to some friends, tries to get some answers, and the photo eventually hits the local news. Some say the thing looks a lot like a chupacabra, the legendary cryptid that's been blamed for livestock deaths for decades. Others think it has a bit of an alien or skinwalker kind of vibe. Now, the creature's about as big as a medium-sized dog, but the body shape, the face, totally off. Michael said, "In the 10 years I've been reviewing my cameras, I have never encountered anything like it." Even the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department got involved. They looked at the photo but ruled out any normal animal, saying it didn't look like a baby deer or anything they could easily identify. I always liked to imagine Spider-Man was real when I was a kid. Kinda always hoped I'd see him swinging around up there one day. Well, I would have been thrilled to see this next video. This footage was captured at the pedestrian bridge in Kiev, not where you'd be expecting to spot the web slinger, but superheroes do get around. Now clearly this is a person crawling under the bridge, but even so, why? I mean, this is pretty dangerous. That water down below does not look very deep. Unless this person has actual web slinging abilities, if they fall, they're getting hurt or worse. So who is this person? Is it just a thrill seeker? Are they out of their mind? Or is there a chance that this isn't even a person at all and that the camera person caught something otherworldly crawling under that bridge? This piece of footage was uploaded to Reddit by user KeyProposal8529. Some sort of strange creature was peering out at them from the woods. They wrote, "Hello all, I live near the Trail of Tears in Missouri. As I got home one night I saw this thing in the woods by my house. From where it was standing, it has to be tall because there's a ditch right below where it stands. Any ideas? I'm terrified. Yes, I stayed in my car until I got the balls to run inside my house." Now, I have no idea what this thing could be. It's hard to make out, but if the Redditor is telling the truth here, then this is a pretty creepy piece of footage because they pass by this area constantly. I mean, it's right outside their home. They know when something is out of place. A Reddit user out in the Midwest has been spotting a strange creature in their neighborhood. First, they posted these images along with a caption reading, "These are photos taken in the Midwest from an iPhone at night. The cryptid in question randomly appears in the same spot. Once a person begins to approach, it will vanish. It was seen again a few weeks ago and moved at an incredible speed across a few backyards. A local dog will bark at the spot that it appears in, even when it's not there. Trail cams will be set up soon. Please give me some ideas as to what it could be. The Redditor also posted an update with a video attached. This time, we can supposedly hear whatever this strange creature is. They wrote in the description, "We've got a video of the cryptid making what sounds like a scream. My friend was trying to find where it was standing but couldn't see it. Once the video ended, it appeared again in his yard but vanished as he went to get his phone again."
In our number 5 spot, we have the baby dragon. A video was shot showing a creature in a pond that literally looks exactly like the ancient Chinese dragon that we see in folklore. Or they look like Khaleesi's dragons when they were babies. Game of Thrones, anyone? Anyways, this video is wild. Very, very strange. This creature is exactly like every image of a dragon that I'm sure you've ever seen, and it is just swimming around in the water. Dragons are so embedded into many cultures, and over many civilizations, people believed in dragons, and so it just makes you think perhaps they were once real, or perhaps they are real. It's possible though that the old civilizations just stumbled across dinosaur bones that made them think fire-breathing dragons were real too. That's very possible. But in any case, this specific video hasn't been proven to be real, so it's possible that it's fake. But if it were to be real, I'm sure a narrative would be spun around it, because that would be a massive discovery that humans may not be ready for. In our number 4 spot, we have Bigfoot. Look, there are so many stories and supposed sightings of the Mudman, Bigfoot, and honestly, this one is the most interesting one yet. A trail cam was deep in the woods when it captured a giant creature walking through the wood. It might be behind a row of trees, but it is clear as day that this creature is big, whatever it is. It appears to have hands and feet. It doesn't move like a bear, it moves like an oversized human. So this could very well be the best footage of Bigfoot that I've ever seen. Apparently the people that took this footage tend to upload footage of animals and bears and have no drive to tamper with the footage, so a lot of people believe it to be real. Also, apparently after this they set up more trail cams in the hopes of seeing it again, but all of the additional cams went missing. Whoa, that's a smart Bigfoot right there, making sure to watch the humans and get rid of all the evidence. Anyways, I think this is definitely footage the FBI would be worried about, so they themselves could have destroyed the trail cams. In our number 3 spot, we have the Blue Mountains Panther. The Blue Mountains Panther is a creature from Australian folklore that is essentially a giant panther that lives in the mountains of Australia. This panther has had sightings for centuries, however Australia isn't known to have any kind of panther on the continent. Anyways, a picture of what looks like a giant cat-like creature, most likely a panther, was caught on camera, and it's had Australia in a tizzy. It's the Blue Mountain Panther, everyone thinks. It's clear as day that it's a cat-like creature and it looks like a panther. If it is not this mythical creature, then what is it? Would love to know your thoughts in the comment section below. In our number 2 spot, we have Sasquatch. This next footage is really interesting and something I know has been buried because of the sheer amount of people that can confirm its validity. While on a ski slope, a bunch of skiers had to stop as they appeared to see a giant in the woods. Everything you have ever heard about Sasquatch would describe what these people saw. Hairy, ape-like, living in the woods. The footage captured shows it trying to hide, but without a doubt it was seen by many, and that would certainly put a dent in the theory that Sasquatch is a mythological creature. Some people think that our human ancestors or relatives could have survived into the modern era, and so this creature could just be a human ancestor. If this is true, then 1, there must be 2 of them to have continued on the species like this, or 2, if there's only 1, is this an immortal human ancestor from centuries ago? The latter would certainly be cooler. We discovered how to fly in the sky. Perhaps we humans have discovered everlasting life and the general public just doesn't know about it yet. Side thought. In our number 1 spot, an elf. On a First Nation reserve in Saskatchewan, a strange creature was caught on camera that, quite possibly, the FBI doesn't want you to see. In the video, you see a creature go behind a large rock when the person recording the video turns their light on. It's kinda hard to make out exactly what it is. Some people think that it's an elf, or a fairy, or a wendigo, a type of shape-shifting creature that is evil. Honestly, I don't know what it is, but it appears to be some kind of mythical creature. People have been reporting seeing this monster for thousands of years, and so it makes you think that there might be something to this video, and it could very well showcase something no human has officially been able to confirm before on camera. I hope it's an elf. That sounds way better than an evil shapeshifter. If elves exist, they should just come and live among us. I bet you us humans would accept them. How could we not? They're so cute and cool.